Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mark from the States. How are we doing today? I'm doing fantastic. It's really cold today. I hope you're fantastic as well. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. Got this big fake couch. Heading out to Palm Springs today. Hopefully, I can get some filming done while I'm there, but there's going to be a lot of festivities going on. I definitely want to do, hopefully, you can still hear me. I definitely want to do like a house tour. This place that we're going to, there's about 8 couples. We all pitched in for this place, and it's huge, and it's I can't wait to show it to you. But someone had requested not so much a video, this video hasn't been requested, but the the channel was, and when they mentioned it to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have their permission. The channel's Magenta Otter Travels, and she is an American. She's married to an Englishman. They spend half the year in Texas and half the year traveling England. And so we did a video not too long ago that 10 oldest cities, right? And number 10 was York. And I've done other videos on York that included York, but this is on York Minster. And I want just a beautiful, beautiful building. That cathedral is just like jaw drop, right? So I'm like, wow, this is the tour. This is her tour. Dara over there, wonderful person, and I'm like, gosh, I have a list of creators that have given me their permission, and I go through, you know, periodically going to get ideas for videos and stuff like that, and I haven't done one of her videos in a long time, and I'm like, why? Because I enjoyed them, and I know a lot of you do as well. And I went back and looked at my list, and she's not on there, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So, yeah, turns out that somehow YouTube unsubscribed me from her channel. I know this is a thing. This isn't shocking. I'm not complaining to YouTube. Many have in the past already, so I don't know if there's a fix. It just is one of their things of purging, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how that happens, but so I've resubscribed, and yeah, and I saw this video, her tour from last year, that she filmed last year. I think it's a couple months old, where she gets to go in York Minster and gets a tour, and I believe, from what I understand, there's a tour guide giving out information, so we are good to go here. I would love to come visit this place, obviously, and so, yeah, sorry about that heater. It's just really cold today, as you can tell. Beanie, yes, you noticed the beard is gone. I had a lot of comments about that. Time for a change. Yeah, I've had that long for a while. I was looking really scraggly. And I'm like, you know what? I need to give the skin underneath, a breather, be able to get lotion on there and regrow it. So here we are. Yeah, so there we are. Again, heading out to Palm Springs today. Leaving around lunchtime or so, and hopefully I'll have some videos from there. If not, I'll see you Monday. Please come with me. Sit on this big fake couch. Let's enjoy this video. If you have 1 like, 1 subscription, please give it to Magenta Otter Travels. There's 2 links below, as always. 1 to her channel, 1 to this video. I encourage you. Like I said, the best things I hear is when you say, I've also subscribed to the channel that we just watched. There's nothing better. Like I said, a lot of people put a lot of work into their stuff, and I guess it's full time for most of them. They make a lot of money, or a lot of their money through this sort of thing. It's a career. Not saying Dara's career is this, but and so it's best that you give your support to them. We're here to learn and have fun, so please. Anywho, enough of that. Let's get that out of the way. Let's get into today's video. Full tour of one of England's best cathedrals, maybe one of the best in the world, right? York Minster. Let's do it.
I've been to York before a couple times, but before I had a YouTube channel. Now we're back in York today, and I'm finally getting to go see the thing I've wanted to see most of all here, and that's the Minster. I'm so excited because it's one of the top 10 cathedrals in England, and I'm trying to see all of those top 10. And what makes today extra special is that Kath is going to be taking us around and giving us a tour. And we get to go with our friends Emily and Ian. And you met Ian if you watched the Dandelion and Burdock taste test we did last year. So we're excited to be up here in Yorkshire, seeing Emily and Ian again, meeting Kath, and getting to see this fabulous cathedral. The site originally was home to a Roman fortress about 71 AD. And in 627, fortress about 70.
This plaque marks the site of Prince Palace, Dextra, or northwestern gate of the Roman fortress, of which the foundations, as rebuilt circa 8300, lie just below ground. That's one of the things I've always fascinated about. It's like, not only does your wonderful, beautiful land have such history as far as you can see, but below your feet there's centuries and centuries and centuries of history just buried below, and it's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. 1 AD, and in 627, when York was part of the Kingdom of Northumbria, the first wooden church was built here to baptize King Edwin. By 1080, the wooden church was replaced by a large stone church in the Norman style. Construction of the current Gothic cathedral began in 1220, though it took nearly 250 years to complete. This building is a church, a cathedral, and a minster. This massive nave can seat about 2,000 people.
The theatre is in between the doors. Whenever you see St. Peter, he'll have his keys with him. There are keys throughout the church to remind us that this church is dedicated to St. Peter, and it is a living, working church. The statues, they're called semaphore saints. They're made out of paper mache. In semaphore, the statues say, Christ is here. And the artist Terry Hamill donated them to York Minster. They're headless because he thinks that they hark back to the time of the Reformation when Henry VIII blipped from Rome, and a lot of the statues then had their heads decapitated. And if you look high up in the clerestory, you can see statues that have had their heads decapitated. That would have had a chain to lift something. You know, it's some sort of pulley, and it would have lifted something up. Possibly the lid of the baptismal font, but generally baptismal fonts are by the door. A good guess, I think, is that our saint, St. William of York, his tomb was around that area, and it could possibly have been that it lifted the lid of his tomb, and holy relics would have been taken out of the tomb and processed around the church on feast days and holy days.
Crazy.
In 1845, there was a clockmaker in the tower up here, and
I'm sorry. It's just, incredible. Oh, look at that. There's just so much to see. It seems like you walk in, you could go in that thing, go in the cathedral numerous times and not, and then each time you go, you see something you didn't see before.
45, there was a clockmaker in the tower up here, and he left a candle burning, and the whole of this roof went up in flames. It looks like a stone vaulted roof, but it is actually wood painted to look like stone. Fortunately, somebody had taken detailed drawings of each of the bosses, so they could replace them all like for like, apart from one. So in the original
Dang.
1370
It does
boss,
look like
it
stone.
showed Mary breastfeeding the infant Jesus. But this is Victorian times. You can't have a bare breast in York Minster. So that was changed to Mary bottle feeding. The other one that I really like is and it's got two little feet. It's one of my favourites. That one is Jesus ascending into heaven.
Where?
Because the last thing that you see when you're being beamed up are the soles of your feet.
If you are enjoying
That's you go head first. Okay.
this video, I invite you to take a second to hit the subscribe button
Please,
and click
please
the
go
bell
subscribe to
so you
her
can
if you
catch up on
haven't.
any
Please.
previous Yorkshire or cathedral videos on my channel, as well as join us for future British travel adventures.
The side aisles were added in the early 1200s, and it took 80 years to build one side aisle because the life expectancy at that time was 40 years old. So whoever started building it at that side would never see it completed at that side.
Isn't it amazing that York Minster holds nearly 60% of all the surviving medieval stained glass in England and has the largest collection of medieval stained glass in the UK?
Okay.
Percent.
Side.
Isn't it amazing that York Minster holds nearly 60% of all the surviving medieval stained glass in England and has the largest collection of medieval stained glass in the UK? Let's take a look at some of the windows in the Minster as Kath shares their fascinating stories.
This is the west window. Our Archbishop of York, is third highest ranking. First of all, it's the King, head of the church. Then it's the Archbishop of Canterbury, and then it's the Archbishop of York. The Archbishops of York have always tried to portray themselves as the disciples of the North. And here we can see on the bottom of this window, on the right-hand side is Archbishop Melton. He was the donor of this window. We know he gave 400 marks for this window, and his predecessors are on that bottom. They're important because they're all given a window of their own. They're portrayed as the disciples of the North, but the biblical disciples who are on the row above are having to share a window. So the two windows on the left over here, you can make out two heads in the windows. And then we go up to the Heart of Yorkshire. Possibly this could have been to Sacred Heart of Jesus, but now it's known as the Heart of Yorkshire. And the saying is that anyone who kisses under the Heart of Yorkshire will have lifelong love. Here we have...
Are you allowed to kiss in church? Is that frowned upon? I wonder if there's a lot of people who I wonder if there's a lot of people who go there and actually try to kiss under there. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody kiss in church. Obviously, I'm not looking for it, but the stained glass windows are fascinating. And yeah, I always knew, they tell a little story or some sort of historical event, but you don't, at least me, because I'm not in church a lot, but it just is, they are beautiful to look at, but what's underneath with the story in the back and the context of what they mean is usually something I never know. So it's incredible that 60% of all stained glass is in this cathedral. Incredible.
The pilgrim window. In the middle, on the second row up, we've got St. Peter. We know it's St. Peter because he's holding the key. And if we're in any doubt, he's also holding a statue of York Minster, just to make sure. On the window lights on either side, there are the pilgrims coming to York Minster. The lady is richly dressed in her beautiful green dress with the purple hem, with a lovely red bag. And the chap on the left is coming for a week. He's got his suitcase with him. But what I like about this window is not that little bit. It's the bottom left-hand side of the window. Now, on the bottom of that left-hand panel, on the right-hand side of it, can you see the golden monkey sat down? Yeah. And behind the golden monkey is a brown monkey, and he's touching the golden monkey's forehead. He's not very well. Behind the brown monkey, there is a golden monkey holding a flask, and he's looking at the flask with his fingers on his chin, pondering that flask. Any ideas what's in the flask? It's urine, because when you...
Urine? Okay. I wasn't expecting that.
You go to the doctor, a doctor asks for a sample of urine, and these are monkey doctors. He's really not very well, this monkey, because the scene in the middle shows that he's been carried away, he's died. And on the very end, there is a fox giving a sermon to a rooster. What on earth is this all about? This is saying, don't put your faith in quack doctors. Come to the church. The church will look after your body and your soul. They will restore you to greater glory. Don't listen to false prophets. And here we have the bell founder's window. There was a bell foundry around this area, and the middle bit there is the bell founder, Richard Tunnock, with the Archbishop. And out of Richard Tunnock's hands is a sign saying, Richard Tunnock made this. And strangely, they've given him 6 fingers. This is the Five Sisters window, put in 1260. Very different to the windows that we've looked at before, because those windows have told a story, whereas this window is a more contemplative window. It doesn't tell a story, it's a series of geometrical shapes. So each of the lights in the window each have different shapes.
The Five Sisters window is also of particular importance because it is considered to be the largest expanse of 13th century grisaille glass in the world.
Helen Little had seen the amount of monuments that were going up to the men who had lost their lives in the Great War, but there was nothing to the women who had lost their lives. So this window has been rededicated to all the women of the Commonwealth who gave their life in the Great War. And their names are on panels on the other side of this chapel here.
Interesting.
This is the Great East window, and it tells the story of the beginning and the end of time. This window was put in 1405. At the very top of the window, we have God, and he is holding a book which says, I am the beginning and I am the end. Next row there tells the creation of the world. So on the left-hand side, we've got God separating the firmaments. Then we have the creation of the land, the creation of the trees, the stars and the moon, the fishes in the sea, then the creation of Adam. Adam is lounging back in a chair. And then we've got a very red-faced God That's on Sunday. He's having a day of rest. He's had a busy week. You can see he's red in the face all his busy week. And then the last two panels are the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Now, I always assumed that the fruit on the tree were apples. But we can see from here that they are bright orange, so they must be peaches or easy peel satsumas. Here we have the devil as a woman, which really annoys me. You see the snake skin in the tree. The devil is telling Eve to take the fruit. As she is taking the fruit, she's passing it to Adam, and Adam is taking the fruit and taking a bite.
And then Adam
Telling them to leave the Garden of Eden. Massive sword to get them out, and they're covering their nakedness. This bottom half tells the end of time. The second row up in the middle, in the...
It must be, I mean, I have no reason not to believe what she's talking about here. I mean, but I imagine there's been interpretations, different interpretations over the years. So far seems pretty, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they would know that was urine, but that's just the skeptic in me, I guess. But I've been known to give urine at the doctor's office, so I mean, it tracks. Just incredible, though. I mean, just so elaborate, these windows. And I'm sure there's people who just study these things. It's a good thing they have actual like photos of each panel, because it's like from a distance, it's like, how do you even tell?
Brown outfit. We've got God. This is Judgment Day. On the window on his right, our left, you can see all the people queuing up on Judgment Day to see if their name is in the book. The book has been opened. If your name isn't in the book, as you can see, they're all going down into hell. The mouth of hell is depicted as a round hole, and they're going down to the mouth of hell.
Dark.
One window we were not able to see today was the St. Cuthbert window. I didn't know anything about Cuthbert until a couple years ago when we started visiting Northumbria. I wish I had been able to see this window here in York, which tells the story of St. Cuthbert's life through richly colored glass panels. If you are interested in St. Cuthbert, I invite you to watch my videos of Lindisfarne, Bamborough, and Durham Cathedral to learn more about his fascinating life, legacy, and places which honor him today. I'll link to those videos in the description. I love visiting cathedrals, and ever since visiting Wells Cathedral, I've taken special interest in chapter houses. I was keenly interested to visit the chapter house here in York Minster.
Welcome to the chapter house. This is where the dean and chapter meet to discuss the day-to-day running of the church. The chapter house was an addition to the cathedral, and it was completed in 1280. So the chapter, because they would read a chapter from the Bible, and they would all sit around here on these stone seats. Hopefully they'd bring a cushion with them. It's octagonal because there is not meant to be anybody at the head. Our dean sits opposite the door. The doors are original doors, and the ironwork on it is specific to the east side of the country. It doesn't have a central column.
That's incredible.
There's only York and
It's just...
Southwark that doesn't have a central column. So the roof is completely suspended. Around the sides here, above where the canon sits, there is flora and fauna, and then above that, all these carvings of faces and creatures.
Kind of creepy, for sure. Like I said, you'll see something new every time you go. Every single time you go, you'll see something new that you didn't see. But this particular room, house, whatever we want to call it, chapter house, is just awe-inspiring. Just how it's just those windows, the glass, it's almost like you go in there and you've just got the spotlight on you, is how the feeling that I'm getting. It's wild. But yeah, I'm doubling down on these little faces. It's kind of creepy.
I was talking to
Looks-
one of the apprentice stonemasons, and she was telling me that it's easy to carve a face of somebody that you're familiar with. So
Really?
I'm guessing that these are 13th century York residents that we're taking a look at up here. One of my favourites is here.
Oh my gosh.
The eagle pulling the eye out. And we have a three-faced lady here.
Missing a
And
nose.
behind the three-faced lady, we have a loving couple. This is the 15th century part of the cathedral. This is where there are weddings
wild.
in here, there are funerals in here, there is a service every day at 5:30. This is the sort of the heart of the church.
This is the cathedra. Every cathedral has to have a cathedra, and this is where the archbishop sits when he comes to preside.
We have a cathedra there. Every cathedral will have a cathedra. That's our cathedra. There are two, because the other one is mobile for when he sits in the nave. But if he's in here, that's where he will sit. This all looks very old, doesn't it? 15th century. But guess what happened? There was a fire. 1829. There was a gentleman that used to come to services here, and he had been press ganged into the Napoleonic Navy. And I can only think that when he came out of the Napoleonic Navy, he had PTSD, because he used to come to services and he would complain that the organ made his head hurt.
On February 1st of 1829, this man hid inside the Minster after evening prayers. In the early hours of the next morning, he gathered prayer books and other flammable items in the choir and set them alight before climbing out, breaking a window, and escaping. The fire spread rapidly, causing severe damage to this choir area and organ.
Detailed drawings had already been done of this woodwork, so it could be replaced like for like, but it's a Victorian replacement. So an extremely difficult time for York Minster. Fire in here in 1829, fire in the nave in 1845. They found that York Minster is built on a Roman fort. So here is York Minster, and there is the Roman fort that it's built on. Not only is it built on the Roman fort, it's also built on top of the Norman cathedral and on top of the Gothic cathedral as well. The weight of that was making all of this come down. So what they did was they sent the engineers in. They have put in 400 steel rods into the foundations of the building and poured concrete on top of that. That has ensured that that will not come down. So those of you who are going up that tower today, you will have no problem. It'll be absolutely fine. The last thing I do want to tell you about is the fire. So the fire happened in July 1984. There was a lightning strike on the south transept roof, and the whole of that roof went up in flames.
Thankfully, the fire was extinguished before it spread to the rest of the Minster. After the fire, the south transept roof had to be rebuilt almost entirely. Craftsmen recreated medieval construction techniques using English oak and stone to match the original materials as closely as possible. However, the artwork on the bosses now feature themes that were relevant to the 1980s. The 16th century rose window was severely damaged, with over 40,000 individual fractures. It took years, but conservators were able to restore it completely using resin and modern glass conservation techniques. This is the tomb of Prince William, the second son of King Edward III and Queen Philippa. The king and queen were married here in York Minster, and William was born near Doncaster. These are all the kings of England from William the Conqueror to Henry VI.
That's cool. Look at
The
that.
Undercroft of York Minster is a fascinating area beneath the cathedral, which showcases over 2,000 years of history. Originally built as a support structure during repairs in the 1960s, the excavation work revealed a plethora of exciting historic discoveries.
Oh man, I gotta
Through
go
this
here.
glass floor, you can see some of the remains of a Roman fortress that once stood on this site. 3,000 soldiers were stationed here, and it was arguably the most important military base in Roman Britain, where 2 emperors died and one of the greatest was created. Also on display are Viking artifacts that were uncovered during excavations, including tools, weapons, fragments of pottery, jewelry, and coins, which are reminders of Jorvik, the major Viking settlement which existed in this area during the 9th and 10th centuries. Walking through the Undercroft Museum gives insight into York's transformation from a Viking stronghold to an important religious center. This museum has various interactive displays which make your visit a historical, archaeological, and architectural experience. This part of the Undercroft
Amazing.
is
Looks
the
so
treasury.
interesting.
This 14th century register of charters to the monks is believed to have been in St. Mary's Abbey of York during the Civil War and received this damage from cannon fire. The crypt of York Minster is an atmospheric, sacred space located beneath the cathedral's central structure. It was constructed in the 11th century as part of the original Norman church. The crypt features some of the original Norman pillars with beautiful and intricate carvings. Here's the lavatorium with this interesting carving of a man and an animal. The trough where they washed things. There's also the Doomstone from the 12th century, an eerie carved stone depicting hellish scenes from the Last Judgment, with lots of fire and brimstone and devils. And this medieval font, an ornately decorated 15th century font, which is still used for baptisms to this day. We are taking the tower challenge. Let's see if we can survive. Now we're climbing up the tower. We're about 100 steps in out of the 275. Here you come to a nice little landing on the roof where you walk across a walkway to the rest of the stairs, passing by this area, which provides amazing views of the towers, windows, and peaks in the roof.
You can do
It
that.
also is the best selfie spot in the whole of
What a
York
cool
Minster.
shot.
All right, approaching step 250 out of 275.
Yay, I made it 275 steps up and successfully completed the tower challenge. Oh, the view from the top is great. It is
Impressive.
amazing to get all these aerial views of York from this
Footbridge
vantage
Tower.
point at the top
Got
of the tower.
Video on.
So this is a bit safer of a tower to walk around compared to the Liverpool Cathedral because there's this cage all over and above your head. But then there are these nice little holes to poke your camera out to get some footage. It's fun to see the gargoyles and grotesques and towers from this angle. I believe that this is the nearby church where Guy Fawkes was christened. So that's the Roundtree's chocolate factory. And we're meant to see a white horse there on the horizon, I think. Might be that little white blob. Yes, that's a white horse.
Oh. We've done videos on chalk drawings and stuff like that.
All right, we've completed the challenge.
Those are fascinating
We're
as
heading back
well.
down. And this time, I get to take selfies with Ian. Many thanks to Kath, our intrepid tour guide today, for an amazing, amazing tour of York Minster. She knows a lot. It's all up in her head. She knows all the things, and we really enjoyed the day.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Please check out one of these other videos
That
of
was
our adventures
awesome.
in Yorkshire as well.
That was really
Thanks
cool.
so much for watching, and do something good in the world today.
Absolutely. Go and support Dara and Magenta Otter Travels. It's really important. Again, thank you for putting up with the heater all video. Normally it goes on and then it stops, but it has been continuous because it's been very cold. We're trying to get it up to a certain temperature in the house, so it's just been running. But this video was great. I really enjoyed it. That I need to visit that cathedral, among others, of course. There are many other cathedrals that are impressive, but that was really cool. I really, my favorite part was being able to, where they had the glass and you can see the old Roman fort below, and I just want to go to York. I do. It looks like such a cool, fun visit place. I don't know. Oh man, that was cool. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got most of what they were saying about those stained glass windows. Such a story that they tell, right? Interesting. And I'm sure this video probably could have been, a couple of hours long for sure. Just every time you go, you're going to see something new, learn something. So, yeah, let me know if you've all been there. I'd love to hear your stories of your visit. Yeah, really cool. Hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. Please go support Magenta Otter Travels on their channel. Really important you do so. Have a great day. I'll be in Palm Springs for the next few days, so if I don't get any videos out, I'll definitely try to do one on Monday to recap what we're doing. Stay safe out there, stay well, and we will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark